And now for our feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Little baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Monday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Causes not just cases, MotleyRice.com. Driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at StokesVW.com. Find us on the at JB and Goldwater Show.com as well, where you can register for about another 15 minutes to win a gift card. So if you want to do that, head on over there, jbandgoldwatershow.com. That part of our 12 days of giveaways brought to you by Three Seeds Wellness Studios here in the Low Country, Three Seeds Wellness Studios.com for your next massage. Follow us on social media at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. Coming up here in a little bit less than a half an hour, Wes Mitchell with Gamecock Central. He will join us. Carolina reeled in another four-star quarterback you may have heard in the last couple of days. This class for the Gamecocks continues to get better. So we're going to talk to him about that. And bowl prep, Carolina next week up in Charlotte. We do have Gene Sapikov in hour 2 today. We'll kind of wrap some of the best stories of the year in the state of South Carolina, amongst other things to talk to Gene about. There are, of course, bowl games on the agenda. One of them was just played this – actually, a couple teams just played this weekend. One is notably standing out. It was on ABC over the weekend, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. We do have some NFL stuff to dabble in. Tiger and Charlie, what a special weekend for them on the golf course. Hoops news, Clemson over South Carolina, amongst other things there. So it's another full boat. Tomorrow will be Darren and my last day on the air, and then we'll see you next year. January the 3rd is when we will jump back on and post-holiday form, whatever that looks like or feels like with all the food and stuff you got headed our way. So with all that being said, good afternoon to my buddy, Darren Goldwater.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to the break. It'll be a good needed time off. I think for everyone, get some holiday cheer in you. This weekend was interesting with the whole YouTube fiasco, dropping everything associated with Disney, including the local ABC station. That thing got figured out. I didn't think it would actually get to that point. They've been notifying us for a week up until then. I didn't think it'd get there, and then I figured they'd solve it within a week once the trial periods for everything else ran out, and they solved it yesterday. So now I've got a dilemma on my hand because I really like what I got with this DirecTV stream, but it's $30 more per month, so I'm probably heading back to YouTube. But I got 14 days to figure all that out.
All right, so I want to talk to you about that. Share Healthcare chat lines, by the way, are open. Ashley, Paul, Steve, and Craig, we see you in there, and I'm sure you'll be joined by many more here before long. All right, so a few months ago, I almost switched to YouTube TV. I decided not to. My reasoning, if not doing that, was if the internet went out, I had no backup. Never thought about the fact that if there was a contract dispute, I'd actually have no backup at all, especially for the things that I watch, which is exactly what you just explained there.
Mm-hmm.
So has that made you rethink old school classic cable television or satellite at all? Or are you going to say, nope, I'm going to stay with my, okay.
Because it's so easy to switch. And I mean, if it ever becomes a big issue, and YouTube TV is such a massive player in the market right now that they can't afford to have something like that go on for a while. So it'll stick with them. I mean, that it can carriage disputes happen anyway, right? I mean, that's why you can't get Braves games, because of the carriage dispute with Bally's and the Fox regional networks. So that they happen. I just didn't think it would actually get to that point. I don't know. No one's really put out there what the two sides agreed upon or how far apart they were and who kind of met in the middle. But I can see it maybe with some of the smaller streaming services, not with this one, but the ease to switch over to something like the DirecTV stream. I mean, if it ever becomes an issue, that can be the move.
So how is the DirecTV stream different from DirecTV? I really don't know.
You don't need a dish. It's so DirecTV stream is what when AT&T just had like a broadband service. So kind of like Comcast, it's just cable delivered right to you. Their stream is the same thing now. You can either have a box that brings it into your house or just use an app like anything else that's streaming. But it's straight up, it's DirecTV. The channel lineup is exactly the same, and it's DirecTV.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's just DirecTV through the internet. That's all it is.
Yep.
Gotcha. But it's what'd you say? $30 more per month?
The YouTube TV is $64.99. That's the base package. I spend $10 more for the sports package in NFL season so I can get the red zone. Yeah. Also a problem with the DirecTV stream is the red zone is not on there. But it's $64.99 and the package I would want from DirecTV that I have is $94. Because if I want CBS Sports Network, if I want the Golf Channel, you need the ultimate package as opposed to the smaller packages. So I'm spending $20-$30 more if I stay with DirecTV. I haven't totally ruled it out, but I think their odds are slim.
Well, you get that figured out over the holidays and report back to us in 22 with what your decision. I told you, I ended up sticking with Dish. I've had them for 8 years and I've always enjoyed them, with the exception of the whole Braves thing. But I stuck with them because they dropped my bill down to about $90 a month. I was like, wait, for 300 something channels? Yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm. And I get all these boxes. Like that was the total with all the boxes and everything, tax, you name it, like $92. So I was like, screw it, I'll stay here. And if something ever happens, I can just go to the internet and stream things through the internet. So I've got a backup.
Yep.
Well, all right. Well, we're working through our problems here in the holiday season. All right, there you go. 12:07 on a Monday afternoon. I'm just going to be honest. I'm still getting my voice back from Friday up in Greenville, South Carolina, spending the evening with Eric Church. So it's it's strange. I was better on Saturday than I was yesterday, and than I am today. I don't know. And it's not because I'm sick. I'm not. It's just what happens when you scream for 3.5 straight hours, every word to every song that he sings. That's the thing. I was really dumbfounded on Saturday, because I didn't realize how many people we have that are a part of our audience that actually pay attention to us. I had no idea. I had 2 people come up to me in the arena I've never met in my life. Just recognized me and wanted to tell me how great our program was. So that's very thoughtful. Thank you. But then I had a bunch of people hit me up on Twitter about Eric Church, people tweeting from in there, which I didn't see it till the next day. And people sending me messages about, I never gave him a chance because he's country, but dude, this guy's badass. And I've been trying to tell y'all, I've been on this bandwagon for 16 years. So that's pretty neat. That was pretty neat. But it was a lot of fun up there. Saw my man Scott Wingo and spent some time with a good buddy, old friend, Harley Lale, former right fielder at South Carolina. So it was a nice evening up in Greenville, which is a beautiful town. And here we are into the holiday season. So drop us. Go ahead.
Do you say when you're at a concert or a show, let's say just Eric Church, we'll just use this as an example because you've been to 20 some, you said last week.
Yeah.
So do you sing every song? I mean, are you one of those just like belting it out with them?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he does this chest pump thing, and I woke up Saturday morning, my chest was hurting. The right side of my neck was hurting, and I can't figure out why that is. It's cultish.
Yep.
I'll just admit it. It's cultish, but it's a lot of fun. And
very good.
As I told somebody, I met a friend's boyfriend for the first time on Saturday night. One of my wife's best friends, her boyfriend came. And I told him, I said, look, the easiest way I can explain this is we all need things to escape reality with. And this has been mine for 16 years and probably won't change anytime soon. So it's a good night off for mom and dad up there in Greenville. Glad to be back with all of you, though. Again, tomorrow will be our last day until January the 3rd. So we're going to try to have some fun here in the next couple of days as we roll you right into Christmas and then into New Year's. Over the weekend in college football, major shout out to Buddy Pugh and the South Carolina State Bulldogs for dismantling Jackson State. And prime time, they were some of the talk of the town last week, or at least across the nation, because they flipped the nation's number one player, Travis Hunter from Florida State, and that didn't matter to South Carolina State this weekend. They took care of them in the Celebration Bowl, 31-10. Bennett Swigert dialing up some plays up there in the booth. I'm telling you, Darren, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I'm going to refresh some memories. Keep an eye on Bennett Swigert as an offensive coordinator. He's going to be a name who's going to be thrown around for jobs out there soon. If not already, I don't know how much of it is public or will be public, but Bennett, former Summerville quarterback, former quarterback at South Carolina, is a brilliant offensive mind. In addition to that, though, the Bulldogs defense was sensational, and it was really neat to see them playing on ABC, not ESPNU, none of that. ABC, network television on Saturday afternoon. How much of that game did you watch? Did you watch it?
I saw some of it when I was a Dog and Duck, but at that time, I hadn't yet quite figured out the whole DirecTV stream thing. So I did see some of it up at Dog and Duck. Yeah. No, it was a big problem this weekend. And the cool part is Jackson State isn't just the team that's pulling in recruits. They've already got a whole bunch of D1 transfers that are on their roster.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. SC State might have one or two. They don't have a lot. And they went in there, and like Dion said after the game, they just straight up kicked our butts. I mean, that's high praise for Buddy Pugh. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You can't find someone with a bad thing to say about Buddy Pugh. So great brand recognition for SC State. It's a good day to be a Bulldog.
Yeah, he's Buddy Pugh has been at South Carolina State for now 20 seasons. Mm-hmm. Anybody want to take a guess at how many losing seasons he's had in 20?
2.
Close. 4.
Yeah. All right.
I pulled up I had done some research yesterday, and then I pulled it up again this morning. The worst season he had was 3-7 back in 2017. He's won the MEAC 8 times. I mean, he's 143-80 all time as the head coach at South Carolina State. In the conference, he's 109-38. I mean, it's something. I mean, it is really something that he's done at South Carolina State, a place that he's just called home, and I'm definitely to blame because we don't talk about SC State as much as we should, but that's a really proud program. And, they need some help. They need some financial help. I mean, for those that haven't been around the ballpark in a while or seen it, it needs help. Orangeburg, that whole area just does need some help. But for what they've got, boy, they sure go out and get it done. And that was really, really, really cool to see this weekend, the Celebration Bowl over there in Atlanta. And I guess they're going to be doing this every year, right? The Celebration Bowl is there to stay.
I think so. But, I mean, bigger than the game itself is the fact that it happened like right after the number one recruit flipped to Jackson State.
Yeah.
That had even more eyeballs on it. Obviously, Dion's there. Obviously, Jackson State's had a good year. But because that happened days prior, there were even more eyeballs on this thing. I mean, you couldn't have written a better script for Buddy Pugh and SC State right there.
Yeah, you're right. The game got a bump because of the news earlier in the week. I mean, there was people who all of a sudden were, maybe didn't know anything about Jackson State or South Carolina State, but were interested to tune in sure, there was the prime time catch. I mean, there wasn't anything about South Carolina State going into the ball game that was noteworthy on a national level at all. It was all Jackson State and Deion Sanders and the number one recruit, Travis Hunter, and all that. But when they got on the stage, the dogs danced better than the Tigers did. So that was really neat to see. They took advantage of the opportunity, and I'll be anxious down the road to keep an eye on it, because there could be, there could be a lot of benefit in that. There could be somebody out there considering that level of school who wasn't considering South Carolina State at all before. I mean, I'm sure that's opened some doors in recruiting and things like that. I'll be anxious to see what this looks like. Maybe Buddy Pugh, Darren, could circle back once you get through that second signing period, somewhere around February, after things kind of start working themselves out, transfers start landing places. He might have a story to tell about what this game actually did for his program.
Wouldn't shock me if it's I don't know if a deciding factor, but a factor for a couple of recruits who might be waffling between SC State or something else. It's emblematic of bowl season too. A team that is significantly better talent-wise, maybe not as motivated to play than the other team, with a chip on its shoulder, with something to prove. You see it happen all the time in bowl season. You've already seen it happen a couple of times this year, and you'll see it happen all throughout the rest of bowl season too.
Yeah, it's awesome. 12-16 on this Monday afternoon. By the way, we will mix in a bunch of Christmas stuff today and tomorrow. I needed to tell you, I remember the top 5 Christmas movies we were talking about last week or the week before. So I've decided that my 1 and 2, these are mine now. Nobody's top 5 list is wrong except Barstool Sports, because Home Alone 3 is not even a top 30,000 Christmas movie, let alone top 10. But I've decided that as much as I love some of the classics out there, like It's a Wonderful Life, and number 1 is Christmas Vacation, and number 2 for me is Home Alone. And my deciding factor was this, because every time those 2 movies are on, I'll watch them every single time. I can't say that for every other movie. Like, I could not watch it as much as I love, like, It's a Wonderful Life. I think you said your wife, that's her favorite Christmas movie. I get it. It's such a classic, but I don't know that I could watch it every night, but I literally could watch Home Alone every night and Christmas Vacation every night.
There's like a redo of Home Alone that's out there now. My daughter and one of her friends were watching it the other day. They're trying to do it pretty much to a T of how the first one was, but it's obviously nothing close. But I love the first one. I mean, the first one, it's a classic. I mean, all of us remember that. We can all recite what happens. We can all, tell you the exact storyline and the exact script. I love Home Alone. I don't have a whole list of like my top Christmas movies. When people rattle them off, some of them I can shake my head and say, oh yeah, love it. Like Home Alone. I'd put it on the list.
Dude, everybody likes Home Alone and Christmas Vacation. You can watch them year round. They're that good. No, Steven, I love the Santa Claus. It's just not in my top 2. I have a ton of respect for the Santa. I maybe even put it's probably 4th or 5th, but I would watch the Santa Claus.
That's more recent, isn't it? I mean, that's more in the last 5-10 years. Or
no, the Santa Claus, the original with Tim Allen, because they had Santa Claus 1, 2, and or the Santa Claus and then 2 and 3. The first Santa Claus, I think, came out in 94.
Okay.
I believe.
I'm just thinking of a newer one that came out.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just the same one that I'm just seeing back in front of my face.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. Of the Santa Claus movies, the first one's the best one, for what it's worth. So we'll dabble that in. Whenever y'all chime in on the Share Healthcare chat lines, we'll get you in there. Craig, It's a Wonderful Life. You can't argue with that. I mean, you can never argue with that. All right, 12-18. Carolina loses this weekend to Clemson in basketball, 70-56. It was a very shorthanded Gamecock basketball program. Nobody could hit water if they fell out a boat to start the game, either team. But Clemson certainly shot it better down the stretch and pulled away. At one point in time, they were up by 20 some odd points, and are now 8-4 on the season. South Carolina is 8-3 up next for the Gamecocks. It's Army on Wednesday afternoon at Colonial Life Arena. It's their Salute the Troops game. And the Tigers get Virginia on Wednesday up in Charlottesville at 8 o'clock that night. So, yeah, I can't say that it was a shocking score. We had our family Christmas party on Saturday evening, and we were watching it. And I thought early, well, if the Gamecock defense can hold up, they'll have a chance. But it only did what it could. They couldn't score without a bunch of players in there and without Jermaine Couisnard fully healthy. Carolina Falls. Frank did say today they're expecting to get a couple of players back before Wednesday's game, but right now they're not exactly even who those guys are going to be. But it looks like they'll at least get a couple of guys back, and they're hoping by the time the Gamecocks enter SEC play on January the 4th that they'll be at full strength. But nonetheless, Darren, in the game on Saturday night, it certainly went Clemson's way. And I was just getting there, Adam. Yeah, the officiating was bad on both sides. I didn't care for a lot of it. I didn't really understand what they were trying to do, but that's basketball these days. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't ever know who's getting what in college basketball. Sometimes you can tell by which officials are on the floor, and then sometimes those guys decide that they're not going to call it the way they've been calling it all year. So I don't even know anymore in hoops. But, yeah, it wasn't great. The game was tough to watch, but Clemson wins.
I don't know where there was a narrative that could have been out there because I got it in a text chain from a Gamecock fan that Clemson had something to do with like forcing Carolina to play. I don't know where that narrative came from. It's obviously not true because there are protocols that are in place. But we talked about the impact of this game and the opportunity that Carolina had in front of it. So hoping that this game would get played, hoping that they have the opportunity for what would be a good road win, especially when you look back at the year. Didn't happen. I don't think it's hard to judge really anything from that game because of how shorthanded they actually were. And then obviously that led to what, that Frank Martin rant that I don't know if viral is the right way to put it, but it certainly is out there about testing procedures. You're seeing it across the entire sports landscape again with COVID impacting games. We have 2 NFL games today, one of them at 5 o'clock, by the way, yep. 2 of them again tomorrow. We've got basketball games that have been postponed all over the place continuously. He's probably got some type of a point. Something should be fixed. I don't know if anyone's actually going to have that answer or be able to fix that. It's probably just kind of where we are in another season of muddling through it and trying to get through it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does have a point, and he wasn't just talking about his team. It had nothing to do with them and their loss or anything like that.
He made that pretty clear. I mean, he made it many times. This isn't, when I say we, it's not Gamecocks, it's college basketball.
Yep. Yeah, and you're right, Darren. I mean, this is happening everywhere. We just heard today Kentucky and Louisville is now postponed, and he's talking about the fact that there are protocols in place that were pre-vaccine, and now I don't know what the percentage is, but I don't think I've seen any team out there that I know about that's less than like 95% vaccinated or something. So you do the math. Generally, that means only 1 or 2 players on a team are not. A lot of teams are 100%. I have no idea what the solution is. I really don't. What I don't want this to turn into is a bunch of people, talking about, well, we don't care about people, we care about death, and this, it's not what it is. They're trying to figure out how to play basketball safely, but with the proper guidelines in place. I think he's got a point. There just probably needs to be more people that stand up with Coach Martin and speak about this publicly so they can try to get something changed sooner than later, Darren, because if not, this is going to happen all the way through March.
That's the fear. I think that's his point is, okay, so here we are. We're about to go into conference play. What's the plan, right? I mean, because if the plan is exactly the same now as it was, then why is the plan exactly the same now? And that's where we are. But I agree with you. I mean, I think what it would take is more people to say something to then try and get into a room and figure out a different protocol. I think it'll be tough to change it midstream, but I do think the rant was built out of a frustration of thinking, here we go again, right? I mean, there are teams that were impacted as badly as South Carolina, probably not many more so, right? More so, probably not many last year. So there's a fear in there. There's a let's try and avoid what happened last year because here it is again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, he's and Frank's not the only one, but these coaches, I mean, we saw last year in football and in basketball, COVID did impact hiring and firing of coaches. Like COVID was not an excuse to athletic departments in 80s largely. It probably was in some areas. So I don't want this to be a blanket statement, but we all remember the fiasco earlier this year, I should say, with Coach Martin himself. Coach Muschamp, and I'm just speaking strictly in this state. I mean, this is everywhere, but these are just easy examples. Coach Muschamp had a bunch to deal with, and nobody cared. And he's not the. I mean, it was everywhere. So, I don't know that the coaches would stand up and say it like that, Darren, just because in the minds of the large majority of the population. Well, no, that's not true. In the minds of the large majority of the vocal public who can't wait to get on social media and say what they want to say, that means nothing to them. They don't care about coaches and their futures and this, that, and the other. They look at that as an excuse if a coach would stand up and say, hey, look, our jobs could actually be on the line because of poor policy, not poor play.
Mm-hmm. And he can't say it that way.
Can't say that.
Right.
No, right. Yeah, these coaches can't say that. So it would take a collective effort, having this conversation the other way, like you and I were just talking about.
Yeah.
So don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. But congratulations to the Tigers on the win. Can I? Never mind. We'll say that for another day. It had nothing to do with COVID. It was nothing. We'll say that for another day. For those, by the way, and Adam. This is not see Adam here commenting in our Share Healthcare chat lines. This is not a shot fired directly at you or anything like that. So don't take it that way. But I really disagree with a lot of the fan base out there who have thought this game should have been postponed or canceled or whatever they could have come up with, to whatever reasoning, to not play the game. First of all, that's just not in Frank Martin's DNA. And they had enough players to play the game, so play the game. It is what it is, because if the flip side was there and this was Clemson in the shoes of South Carolina, the Gamecocks, they'd want to play the game. Play the game. If you can play it, play it. Because you never know what's going to happen. It didn't work out for Carolina. Keep in mind, a quad one loss that's not a dagger for Gamecock basketball at all. At the end of the day, it's actually really not going to affect them. It could have helped them had they won the game tremendously, but that's not killing them at all. So Frank's not stupid. He knew there wasn't a whole lot to lose by losing the game, but there was a lot to gain by winning the game. Now, fans don't want to hear it that way. They want South Carolina to beat their rival, and that's probably where a lot of this comes from. But I am not one of those people. Play the game. If you got enough players to play and you can play it, play it. And they did, and they lost.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and we talked about the protocols a little bit ago. That's part of them, right? If you've got the ability, then you still can, right? There's a threshold there, and at the end of the day, like the narrative that was out there, it had nothing, zip, to do with Clemson. Could there have been some manipulation on the Carolina side to say, we can't play? Yeah, they probably could have pulled something like that off, but they had enough guys to play. And like you just said, the gain outweighed the loss. The possibility of the gain outweighed the possibility of a loss. So go out and give it your best shot. It didn't really get away. It didn't become something that was pretty clear they had no shot until early to mid second half. I mean, they hung around, they fought. So the opportunity was there. And if they could have pulled something off, it would have been worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt, man. And the players that played in the game, they wanted to play. So play it. Yeah. I totally agree with playing the game. I'm glad they played the game. Tigers beat them, and Carolina going to certainly have to do some work in the league. But Darren, as we said a couple of weeks ago, we got to hit a timeout here. They already beat Georgetown. They already beat Florida State. They've got UAB under their belt. If you beat Army, you beat South Carolina State, you enter league play at 10-3. You go 10-8 in league play, 20 wins. There's a really high chance that you are in the tournament. It with 20 wins and 10 or 11 losses, something like that. More than likely, Carolina is dancing. So much still to happen and come, hopefully, for Gamecock basketball. All right, it is 12:29 on a Monday afternoon. Christmas is here this week. Anything that's on your mind, pop it into the Share Healthcare chat lines. Up next, Wes Mitchell. Carolina took another quarterback commitment, and he already signed. Nobody knew about it till Saturday, though. Tanner Bailey, what's going on with the class ranking? What's left? How about bowl prep for the Gamecocks? All that up next with Wes Mitchell right here on the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle, and we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work. And two others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
You hear me talk about Dog and Duck all the time, and there's no other place I'm going to watch my college and NFL than the Dog and Duck. They have 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. They have specials all football season long, like $12 pitchers of their own D2 brew, $5 pints of Sierra Nevada, weekly pick'em sheets with prizes, and the best wings in town, bar none. For all your football, college, and NFL, the Dog and Duck, Clements Ferry Road, Bell Hall, and Park West.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. Thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
Okay, what's going on today, huh? Anything to talk about?
All right, greetings and a good Monday afternoon. Greetings and a good Tuesday afternoon. Greetings and a good Wednesday afternoon, and welcome aboard. All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon. Greetings and a good Friday afternoon, and welcome aboard. Okay, 12:33 Monday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show. Gosh, I'm getting feedback again. I'm not sure what this is. It's something on my end.
It is. I don't know why. Sometimes it pops out on you. It pops back into you. I've never really understood exactly what it is when it happens with you. I'm trying to. I thought we were bringing Weston on video here, so I am efforting to get him on the phone. So that should happen here momentarily.
Yep, dialing Wes up here right now, and he will join us here in just a quick second, and I'll get my situation fixed as well. Gene Sapikov at 1:30 this afternoon with the Post and Courier. Plenty to do. certainly. We have Wes.
We do.
Wes Mitchell, Gamecock Central. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing?
Well, it's Christmas. It's Christmas week. What's on your Christmas list?
Wow. Man, y'all caught me off guard with that one.
I don't have much on mine either.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different. I feel like once you hit a certain age, it's just different. I don't know. If somebody like out there wants to get me what I really want, I'll take one of those 75-inch LG TVs, like OLED, 4K. Yeah, so I'll put that on my list.
That's actually on mine. I haven't asked for much because I just don't generally care. I mean, there's no reason for me to actually to actually go ask for something. I generally have the stuff that I want, but that's on my list. I mean, the more I see the new TVs and the clarity of them, and there's everything that's now available in 4K. I mean, if you want to ask me, and if you actually ask me, then I assume you mean it. That's my answer. I want a sweet new TV.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm the person that, like, my mom will ask me what I want for Christmas for months, and I won't know what to tell her. And then on, like, December 28th, I'll just go buy myself a Christmas present.
Well, the Gamecocks are getting 3 quarterbacks in their Christmas stocking this year, Wes. The latest is Tanner Bailey, who decided to go ahead and make this public over the weekend. He actually signed on Friday in the early signing period for Carolina. This was a surprise to many. Kind of walk us through what happened here.
Yeah, I think, first of all, this is a situation where it's a guy who's too good to turn down. You know, you can never, you know, the quarterback position, no matter how well you feel like you've recruited there, you know, you always have to keep recruiting that position. And this is a kid who actually was Shane Beamer and staff's first 2022 quarterback offer when they arrived at South Carolina. So obviously, you know, Gunnar Stockton was already committed to Carolina at the time. He ended up decommitting, and after that decommitment, this was their first offer. So obviously a guy they were very high on. There was a short stretch, if you go all the way back to, I don't know, February, March, where Carolina thought he was going to be their commitment in this class. Well, you know, the kid went out to Oregon, loved it, loved what they were doing on offense, ends up committing to Oregon. Of course, Mario Cristobal, you fast forward to, I don't know, the last month or so, Cristobal ends up at Miami. He starts looking around again, he being Tanner Bailey. And, you know, a lot of the schools out there already sort of were locked in. We're only looking to take one quarterback. So he gets in touch with South Carolina within a couple of days of decommitting from Oregon. One thing leads to the next. And, you know, next thing you know, he's committing to the Gamecocks.
You know, I guess the question I have, which you're not Tanner Bailey, but you're the next best thing, so I'll just have to ask you is, I mean, he knows what they already have coming in, right? I mean, and I'm about to get into Braden Davis, the quarterback out of Delaware, in just a minute, but clearly Spencer Rattler, by many, the top transfer quarterback out there in the portal, you know, he's signed. I think there's this thought that he'll only be here for a year, but who knows, Wes? I mean, he might be here for a couple of years. You never really know. So, I mean, since he committed to Oregon, this room of quarterbacks has grown for the Gamecocks. So why did he decide, that you know of, why did he decide that this is still the best fit for him?
Yeah, you know, I talked to him on Saturday night, and he said he was just basically completely sold on Beamer, completely sold on the coaching staff and the plan for him. You know, he mentioned that he had asked around to many people about Coach Beamer, and they just raved about him both as a coach, but really more importantly, as a person, you know, like as a family man, and he just sort of believes in the plan that Beamer has in place. You know, getting into the actual quarterback room, here's the thing: you're going to have competition no matter where you go. If you go to an SEC school at the quarterback position, there's going to be a great deal of competition to get onto the field. You know, I think if you're a freshman coming in, you know, or if you're one of these 2023 guys, you know, like Dylan Lonergan, who South Carolina heavily targeted for 2023, the big-time quarterback from Georgia. I don't know if Rattler necessarily affects you, a ton. I think you look, since Rattler has 3 years of eligibility left, but if you're a Carolina fan out there, I would just go ahead and say in my head that 1 year of Rattler is my expectation. If you somehow get 2, then obviously, that's a huge bonus. But right now, if you're South Carolina, if you're a South Carolina fan, I think you're approaching this like Rattler's going to be here for 1 year. And then, at that point, you've got an all-out, pretty wide-open competition for the starting quarterback position. So, if you look, if you're Tanner Bailey, that's maybe a better situation for you than a spot where maybe there's a freshman or sophomore who's already like taken a spot and just sort of locked in and is going to be the guy for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's a fascinating development because I feel like all of these guys have something a little bit different about them. Speaking here with Wes Mitchell with Gamecock Central, and that's kind of where I want to lead this conversation to. I mean, you've got Davis and Bailey, and I've watched some of Braden Davis's film. It's been a little while, Wes. Looked pretty good, but boy, you can't help but like what you see on film with this Tanner Bailey kid. I mean, he seems to be able to make all the throws. He seems really, really calm, cool, and collected, like he's been doing it for 20 years back there. Can you kind of compare and contrast the 2 freshman quarterbacks Carolina's got coming in?
Yeah, they're very different quarterbacks. I will say that. I think you look at Braden Davis. He's a little bit more of that prototypical, great size. He's like 6'5", maybe getting closer to 6'6". He can run around, maybe a little bit bigger arm. Definitely is going to be more athletic. A guy who is going to, I would imagine, continue to put on 10, 15 pounds of good weight when he gets to South Carolina. And you talk about upside. I think you look at Braden Davis, and upside is sort of the word that comes to mind. He's worked really, really hard to continue to show progress as a passer. I thought that was evident in his senior film. Delaware Player of the Year, state champion. Then you look at Tanner Bailey, and Bailey's, I would say, ranking or rating has been a little bit limited by the fact that, he's a little bit smaller guy. He's not like that prototypical sized, just not that just massive arm guy that's just going to throw the ball 65 yards down the field, But you look at Tanner Bailey as a passer right now, and you're like, man, this kid is probably one of the most accurate passers in the entire 2022 class. Extremely smooth release, is very developed as a passer, going through the progressions, all those different things that go into being a quarterback. And, you wouldn't confuse him for necessarily a dual threat quarterback. He's listed as a pro-style guy. That's probably fair. But he can do enough from an athleticism standpoint to, extend plays, to move up in the pocket, to help himself out as far as getting out of trouble. So, in my opinion, these are 2, really talented kids, 2 very different skill sets. And obviously, as we know at the quarterback position, it's all about who's going to come in and develop and keep getting better and get comfortable in the scheme. And I think both the kids have really great leadership qualities. That's one thing. That was the first time I had talked to Tanner Bailey on Saturday. Chris Clark talked to him when he got the initial offer from South Carolina. I've talked to Braden Davis several times now. Just both really just well-spoken, just, thoughtful, like kids. When you think of the word leader, I think of both, Braden Davis and Tanner Bailey. So that'll be interesting to see. I think they both can coexist in this quarterback room together just because the way they carry themselves. And, it was always talked about that South Carolina may take 2 quarterbacks in this class if the right quarterbacks came along.
Wes Mitchell, Gamecock Central, 12:44 here Monday afternoon. All right, so Luke Doty is coming back. I mean, kind of break down this quarterback room, because back in 2019 I think a lot of people kind of had it figured out. This is what it's going to look like for the next 5 years. But that changed quickly. So what does the future of this quarterback room look like?
Yeah, and I think here's the thing, y'all. If you're South Carolina, you've got to try to add as much talent to that position as possible. You look at this past year, the fact they started 3 different guys at the position. One of those starters obviously has hit the portal in Jason Brown. One of those starters literally was a coach as recent as this summer. And then, Luke Doty was, let's be honest, he was playing at less than 100% from a physical standpoint. So I would say this, Luke Doty is not being talked about by the fan base as much right now, but I think we've got to look at this realistically. Luke Doty, as a freshman, was basically playing wide receiver for the first, 3-4 weeks of the season. And then he's thrown into the mix, thrown into the fire, let's be honest, at the end of that season, playing quarterback. And then this past season was playing hurt. So, I sit here and I say, I don't believe we've seen the last of Luke Doty as far as what he can do. And I don't think we've seen Luke Doty at his absolute upside by any means. Luke Doty was always a guy who came in and was going to need, to be fair, was going to need a little bit of time to develop and spend time in a system and get comfortable. Also, got to remember, he played receiver as a sophomore in high school. So you're talking about a guy that really came in with fewer quarterback snaps than your average high-profile quarterback. So, yeah, I look at this room, y'all. I think it's been remade, right? It's sort of been reconstructed. But also, I still have not given up on Luke Doty as a college quarterback. Like I still think this kid has a ton to give. It is extremely talented, and I think he'll work that much harder just based on what's going on around him.
What about Colton Gothier?
Yeah, that's another guy that gets a little bit lost in the shuffle. He, as far as the conversation is concerned, I mean, he'll be the backup quarterback going into the bowl game. Me personally, I'd love to see him get some snaps. I was about to say on Saturday. I guess the game's technically on Thursday, but I'd love to see him get some reps and go play. This is a kid. He came in, was very impressive in the spring. I think the sort of totality of being the college quarterback, learning the scheme, everything that goes into that position, and being a true freshman, it kind of caught up to him a little bit in the fall and preseason camp. But this kid can sling it, man. He's got a lot to offer as well. Clearly, everybody wants to talk about the elephant in the room with quarterbacks and like, will this guy leave? Will that guy leave? Well, guess what? Every quarterback room in the entire country, you sort of have this big competition, and then guys have to make the best decisions for themselves. So I'm not ready to sit here and say circle this guy like, oh, he's going to leave, or circle that guy, oh, he's going to leave. Competition, you have to have competition if you're going to be an upper level, if you're going to be a medium level SEC school, if you're going to compete in your division, you've got to have competition at the quarterback position. And, let's be honest, it was less than ideal, the quarterback situation for South Carolina this past season. And I think the staff is just saying, look, we've got an opportunity to change that. And that's exactly what they've done.
It's a much better problem to have than the problem that they had this year. A crowded room, pushing each other, then looking around and trying to figure out who's up. Like, then, that guy with the clipboard, let's use him.
Yeah, agreed, man. Agreed. It was, the fact they got to bowl eligibility while what they had to go through at the QB position, it really is, when you take a step back and look, it's pretty impressive. And, I don't know if I guess I haven't been on since Jason Brown left. Everything sort of run together. I do think, Jason Brown made the best decision for him. He did what he had to do. But I think also is South Carolina sitting here getting ready for a bowl game without the contributions of Jason Brown this year? I would say no. So I think we've got to remember that as well.
I would totally agree with that. Yeah, it's amazing when you begin to glance at the 2022 quarterback room Wes, you see 5-star Spencer Rattler, 4-star Luke Doty, 4-star Tanner Bailey, 4-star Braden Davis, 4-star Colton Gothier. And then this year, you saw an injured 4-star Luke Doty, grad transfer / GA, Zeb Nolan, FCS transfer Jason Brown, wet behind the ears, brand new quarterback Colt. Yeah, I mean, it's changed overnight. All right, so you said elephant in the room. Let me ask you the real elephant in the room. How has Marcus Satterfield impacted QB recruiting? I'm talking about Braden Davis. I'm talking about Tanner Bailey. I'm talking about Spencer Rattler. And has any of this, or will any of this, affect his future as the offensive coordinator as we have this conversation today here on December the 20th that you know of? Because, I mean, we all know the problems. We don't have to go back over all the problems that we saw offensively this year. We all knew that. But, I mean, how much of an impact was he and these young men making the decision to play football at Carolina?
Yeah, it's a valid question. I think, I'll give complete credit where it's due to Satterfield in that Tanner Bailey, mentioned Satterfield by name and mentioned the prior relationship there, from when they originally offered. He has certainly been involved. Like, he's done his job in being involved with recruiting these quarterbacks. Now, I personally, and this is kind of something I want to get an answer to, I don't know with Spencer Rattler necessarily. Rattler has not been on the record since he committed, so I can't really speak to, was that more of a Shane Beamer, with the prior relationship, one-man recruiting battle? Obviously, Satterfield was involved. He was on the Zoom call. He was, involved in all that stuff. So, yeah, these guys are signing up with Satterfield recruiting them as their quarterback's coach and OC. So, obviously, it doesn't necessarily erase what happened on the field this year in some instances, but I think South Carolina will see how they do in the bowl game, and then I think it's the same as it was, whenever Beamer talked a couple of weeks ago, that at the end of the season he's going to evaluate the totality of everything. And it is very interesting though that this was really one of the. I mean, if you compare this offense to many in South Carolina's history, it's pretty far down there, this season. But then this is arguably one of the most interesting, intriguing, maybe even one of the best quarterback classes I've seen South Carolina land.
Wes, I've been saying this for the last couple of days, couple of weeks, that it's impressive, and Satterfield deserves credit that using 3 quarterbacks, 2 of which you weren't expecting to use, to get to bowl eligibility, he deserves a little bit of credit. I said it when he brought Rattler in. There's no way they can make a change, and I cement that now that there's absolutely no way a change will be made. Are you as confident in that, or are you still not sure?
No, I'm not confident in that. I'm still very much wait and see on that decision. I think there's a lot of things that are going to be involved in this decision, in my opinion. And,
Yep.
Beamer, here's the thing. Beamer has played that very, very, very close to the vest as far as what the plan is moving forward. So, most things around most programs, if long enough time goes by, if you talk to the right people, word is going to have sort of just kind of leaked out about what's going to happen there. That is not the case here. In my opinion, most anybody who tells you they know exactly what's going to happen, and it's like they're trying to say it not from a prediction or opinion standpoint, they're trying to say it as a fact, like a sourced up opinion or sourced up information. I don't know if anybody truly knows. So I'm not ready to go one way or the other on that, to be honest. I think it's a very interesting decision, though, because of those very reasons we just mentioned. Offense was not good this past season. That's an understatement. But, yes, the QB room does look very, very different. So it's really going to depend on what is Beamer's ultimate – how does Beamer believe this thing played out this year? Is it really just that if the right guys were plugged in, that this plan and this scheme could still work to what they want it to be, or does Beamer believe that the guy orchestrating the offense was a big part of the problem, and ultimately that's going to be Shane Beamer's decision to make.
Yep. I mean, and I think that there is I think both of those, I think they correlate. I mean, I think that it goes hand in hand. I think there's blame on all sides of this. I mean, you need more talent, and you had a first year system. You had some tough times with it with your offensive coordinator and Wes. And we're not going to get in the weeds on this. We'll save this conversation for the new year, depending on what changes are made, if there are any. But I mean, we all have fairly decent sources, and we know that there's some staff members that are frustrated with some things. And that's all part of the equation. Like you said, you didn't say specifics, but there's a lot that goes into this that he's going to have to handle as the head coach. So we'll just kind of have to see how it all plays out. And to your point, Wes, yeah, nobody knows. If they tell you that they know, they don't, because the staff doesn't know. So if they don't know, unless actually Shane Beamer, and he said, I really like you. Let me tell you what I'm going to do here. Nobody knows what's going to happen just yet. But they have a game to play. Before we let you run, what's on the Gamecocks Christmas wish list as it pertains to recruiting or transfers and in bowl prep? Anything noteworthy? I know they're on the practice field right now, but anything noteworthy you'd like to pass along before we let you run?
No, but I would say I'll say on the recruiting side, I think it's going to be very portal heavy. Now, a lot of people have asked us on the board, like, give me some names, and I think Jacob Copeland, the receiver from Florida, is someone they would love to have. They're trying to get some traction there. I think Maryland actually, weirdly enough, has quite a bit of traction there, so that's one we had been tracking. But for the most part, my answer has been, because this is what I've been told, is that South Carolina is going to pretty much see what the portal looks like after these. There's a lot of kids that are going to hit the portal from other schools after the bowl games are complete. So many of the names that the fans are wanting right now just are not out there yet because they're literally not in the portal yet. So you don't know, if you're Carolina, who's available yet. So I really expect South Carolina to continue to hit the portal. Once there are new names, we're going to pass them along. But certainly, I mean, it's no secret, y'all. Receiver, huge priority in there. If they could find the right offensive lineman in there, I think certainly that'll be a priority. If Kevin Harris leaves, which that's my expectation right now, you've got to possibly look at running back in there. And then I think it's best available. I think if the right edge rusher is in there, obviously with the loss of Enigbare this year, maybe if the right safety's in there. I don't think there's any position that you necessarily look at and say, oh, they're not going to hit that position, other than what I guess quarterback and tight end, because they've already hit their needs there.
We'll see. Certainly, in today's game, Wes, the rosters of football programs can change very, very quickly. There's a UCF Florida game coming up in the Gasparilla Bowl on Thursday evening down in Tampa, and could be some news coming out of that game as it pertains to the portal that might lean South Carolina's way for those interested in that. So we'll kind of see where that goes. Wes, thank you so much. What a wonderful year it's been. Tomorrow will be our last day until January the 3rd. Darren and I are going to go spend time with our family. So wish you and Mackenzie and all of your family just the merriest of Christmases. Thank you for what you've done for us. We'll obviously continue to read Gamecock Central day in and day out for the best news out there on Carolina football and athletics. But just thank you, man. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, man. Merry Christmas to y'all as well. Obviously to all your listeners and watchers there too. We appreciate the support. I appreciate both of you guys and y'all's support and your friendship as well. And hey, one more thing noteworthy I felt worth mentioning. When South Carolina has players hit the transfer portal after the bowl game, that's pretty much natural. Like I think fans should go ahead and expect that, because if you start looking at these numbers, in order for the guys that everybody wants to come in, there's going to have to be guys leaving as well. So that doesn't mean the roof is on fire. When people start transferring out, I've been trying to go ahead and warn people like it's going to happen. Not, don't know specifics, don't know names, but it certainly will be happening. So just they can go ahead and prepare themselves for that. But yeah,
I would agree.
Really appreciate the support, guys. Really appreciate the time, the opportunity to be on the show. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. Hope y'all get your TVs for Christmas, and y'all have a Happy New Year too. Okay.
All right, man. You too.
Thank you, Wes. Great stuff. Thank you, bud.
All right,
there you go. Wes Mitchell with Gamecock Central. Hour 1 is in the books. When we return, we've Tiger, got Charlie, got some NFL stuff, got some bowl stuff to get into. We have Gene Sapikov, so it's another jam-packed final hour. Hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show, very proudly presented by Motley Rice and driven by Stokes Volkswagen. We'll be right back. Right here in our backyard is Motley Rice LLC, a law firm that hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for South Carolinians who were injured while traveling by plane or bus, harmed by medical drugs and devices, or burdened by dangerous auto recalls, including Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. We are honored to have Motley Rice as a sponsor for the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risk their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work, and to others you probably don't think much about, stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Roberts, owner of 3 Seeds Wellness Studios. And just like being in your favorite ballpark feels like home, our studio feels like home to our clients. We offer over 20 different services to help our guests cultivate, nourish, and grow their bodies and minds. Centrally located in the heart of West Ashley, we offer massages, facials, acupuncture, yoga classes, and everything in between, helping you become that you want to be. A complete list of services are available online, and gift cards are available both online and for curbside pickup. Go to 3seedswellnessstudios.com. Happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
loud and online.
All right, final hour here on this Monday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen and very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Causes not just cases, MotleyRice.com. Thanks to Wes Mitchell for joining us there in that last segment. Coming up here in about 25 minutes or so, Gene Sapikoff with the Post-Game Courier. He will pop in. We got a lot to talk to. We'll look at the year and review with him, which to this point, obviously there's still some bowl games and stuff like that to be played, and God only knows what else could happen in the final 11 days of 2021. The last couple of years have gone literally anything. But certainly we'll talk to Gene about that. Going to talk to him about the staff up at Clemson and some bowl stuff and hoops and things of that nature as well. The Share Healthcare chat lines, they are open, and you can pop right into those. Let me scroll back up because we got a bunch of stuff coming up here coming through here the last couple of minutes that we want to pass along here on the Share Healthcare chat lines. Let's see. Adam had said, I go back to Darren's comments for most of the season. You have to see how it plays out. And now I've lost my dang thing.
He said, with all the momentum, really hard to move Satterfield out was the end of that statement.
That's right. Craig said 1 healthy quarterback and 2 limited QBs. Hard to judge Sat. With that, Clint said, I disagree, Adam. Satterfield has a resume from this past season. It was awful. Routes that had 2 wide receivers in the same spot and play calling that just made no sense most of the time. Clint went on to say, Clay White didn't exactly have a ton of talent on defense, but I would argue he did a much better job than Satterfield. RB, good to see you, my man. He says, granted, didn't have much to work with, but hasn't shown anything to make me think if he returns, things will drastically improve, not to mention off-field rumors, obviously talking about locker room stuff there. Adam says, so what Wes is saying is everyone's going to start blaming Satterfield again after the bowl game because of transfers. They'll always blame somebody for something. There's no doubt about that.
You can take that comment to the bank.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is going to be the answer.
You know what? And you know, I don't know that that's a bad comment, because sure, there might be a kid or two that say we're leaving because we don't want to be in this offense. I don't know, but there's also going to be kids that just want to leave for other opportunity, no matter who's coaching them.
Yeah, the majority will be that. I mean, it happens all around college football. You know, it's,
every day.
Yeah, so
every day.
That's the majority.
That's the way of the world. Clint has an interesting conversation here. I wonder if we, obviously talking about the Gamecocks, have gone after Braden Davis. Had we gotten Bailey the first time around? Clint, my information tells me they would. They were, and I think Wes already alluded to this, but for a long time, what I personally have been told now, not that I'm a Wes Mitchell or a Chris Clark or a Hale McGranahan and these recruiting guys, but what I've personally been told is if they found 2 quarterbacks that they really liked, they would sign both. And they weren't set on taking 2 quarterbacks. And they've been set on just taking one now for a while, because they thought that they I'm talking about in the class outside of the transfer portal. There was nobody else that they literally were like, yeah, we want to go get that guy because of whatever. But when the Bailey thing popped back open, they had obviously never closed the door, and they kept a great relationship with him. So that was a no-brainer for them to sign him when he wanted to come. And these are 2 quarterbacks that they really liked. And also, per Wes's comments, they're 2 different quarterbacks. And so we'll kind of have to see how that plays out. Craig says, I want a clean start with a real quarterback, Rattler. And if it doesn't look better, then make a change. So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I still have enough information to lead me to believe that there's probably going to be a change. But if there's not at this point in time, I don't even know that it would shock me. I mean, I think that let me preface what I'm about to say with this. Every year we have all these conversations, all of us, about any school that we pull for, about everything that's happened in the past. And we always seemingly forget a lot of the things that we need to remember for those conversations. I mean, I'm a big believer in you need to know how you got here in any conversation you have. So, I mean, you need to know where you've been to understand where you are to get where you're going, right? So what we can't do is just say, well, shoot, they've signed 3 quarterbacks and they had all these quarterback problems this year. That's the fix. Satterfield's the answer. On the other side of that, what we can't just do is go, well, Satterfield doesn't like some of his coaches and they don't like him, so he's not the answer. They need to fire him. I mean, there are things you can get figured out, and if there's really a locker room problem with a guy who's running the offense, that would be up to Shane Beamer to say, okay, everybody, we're going to sit down. We're going to figure this out right now. Not tomorrow, not in an hour, not next week, not next year, right now, today. Who's got a problem? Let's just say it. Let's figure it out here. Because at the end of the day, if he's the right cat for the job, then, they just need to just be grown ups and figure it out and move on, be big boys. If he's not, then get rid of him and find somebody else. Who cares what quarterbacks you brought in? You can smooth that over. Yep. That's your job as the head coach. Hey, look, we got to make change, and here's why. So I don't know what's going to happen, but as J.C. Sherwood continues to say, Darren, just let it play out.
Yeah. Beamer's a really savvy guy. And the momentum that the season had before the recruits, before the transfers, the fact that the perception of exceeding expectations, it's not just a national thing. The team exceeded expectations. That is a flat out fact. How you got there, you could say lots of different things can be true. There were issues blocking. There were receivers running the same routes. There were quarterbacks you didn't expect to be playing. You piece things together and got there. Lots of different things can be true at the same time. The momentum that's there now, to follow that momentum, particularly momentum from a quarterback room and then the potential of an offense, to follow that with, we're going to make a change at OC. That won't be perceived as positively around the country. And I think some of the even closer in, the perception is leaning more my way at this point, because you don't want that hit. You don't want those questions unless you really know exactly the move you're going to make, unless you got a guy that you're certain of. And I don't know if there's a certain thing in anything, in any profession. It'd be hard. If I'm him right now, be really hard to pull that trigger.
Yeah, I mean, but we all know, I'm not disagreeing with you, but we all know. So we don't know what we don't know. Number one, like nobody knew a week ago that Spencer Rattler was coming to South Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot. Spencer Rattler. So we never know what's going on behind the scenes. We also don't know if a change is made, exactly what that change will look like. If you're Shane Beamer, what you don't want to go through is, okay, well, I've fired a guy and now I can't hire a guy. Like last year, Mike Bobo left and it seemed like it was musical chairs trying to get somebody in the seat of offensive coordinator at South Carolina. That was the perception. At the end of the day, Beamer has to give 2 craps about perception. What's best for the football program, figure the rest out later. Now, if it came about this way, hey, by the way, Marcus Satterfield is leaving the Gamecock football program to pursue this opportunity in the NFL or whatever. Mm-hmm. And South Carolina will be naming an offensive coordinator in the next 48 hours. And basically Beamer already knew this was going to happen and he brings in somebody else and voila, you got a smooth transition. It all worked out. Nobody really gives a crap. And then you move on and you let them figure out. So it's going to be all about, like from the outside looking in, it's going to be all about how you dress it up. From the inside, at the end of the day, it's about what's best for our program.
And that happens way more often than the average fan wants to believe or knows. That right there, that handles a lot of what I just said from a perception, public relations, management standpoint. Plus, it's a good friend of his. So if he can give him the grace period of, look, man, we probably like to do something, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to go out and try and figure something out on your own. It works out best for both sides.
Yeah.
That I certainly wouldn't I can't dismiss the possibility of anything. No, like you're saying, no one has any idea what's going to happen here. If a change is made, I think that is the likely scenario for how a change would be made because it works out for both sides.
No doubt about it. Again, we don't know. Speculating, using some information, but I can tell you that the staff doesn't know. Yep. So if they don't know, I don't know, and you don't know, mm-hmm. and Johnny come lately on the message boards and Twitter, nobody knows. So they do have a game to play. And this conversation will be a lot more fun to have if they win the game. If you're a South Carolina football fan, how they will win the game right now, I don't know. They're missing their best player on defense. They're missing their best player on offense in Zaquandre White. They're missing their best quarterback to this point in Jason Brown. But they're going to play in the Dukes Mayo Bowl coming up on December the 30th. So certainly looking forward to that. Share Healthcare chat lines, again, they are open and available, and see many of you popping in. Hey, Aaron, can you speak any more on a possible transfer from the UCF bowl game? I really hate being that guy. I try to toss out little, chum the waters a little bit here and there, just so people understand that there are good things or bad things sometimes kind of playing out. This one would be a good one for South Carolina. It would be more, I'd say it a little bit differently than that. I'd say from the Florida bowl game, if it were to work out. So we'll see. But Gamecocks are in the mix for a bunch of transfers out there, and there could be a good name coming out of Gainesville for South Carolina football if he takes that step. So let's just kind of see what happens. And Carolina's got a couple of positions they need to shore up if they can through the transfer portal, and that might be a direction they go. So we'll kind of see how that unfolds there. All right, kind of shifting gears here a little bit, Darren, into the weekend and the Tiger Woods and Charlie Woods story was, dude, it was just awesome. I see Scott Glaze just tweeted to us about 10 minutes ago. Charlie Woods is at 10-1 odds to win a major before age 30. Isn't he 11 years old or 12?
He's 12, so they put 18 years on it. I did see earlier today, Darren Ravel. I think it's hard in the States to place that bet for some reason. I think it's a European sports book that has that out there. The other thing, future bets like this, I mean, would I take those odds? Yeah. Am I going to wait 18 years or, I don't know, maybe 3, it depends, for a bet to pay off? I mean, it seems like I'm just throwing money out there. Meredith Taylor tweeted something out, or at least she sent it to me. We're all in awe of Charlie Woods for good reason. I mean, just watching him, the mannerisms, forget the mannerisms and Tiger Jr. stuff. The swing, he stripes it. His game is better than most everyone who pays attention to this program, certainly mine. He's 12. Lexi Thompson and Morgan Pressel qualified for the Women's U.S. Open when they were 12. Charlie's not doing that. It puts a little perspective on how good those two were when they were amateurs.
Yeah, he's not doing that. It was, first of all, Tiger Woods, I'm even more sure of saying this today, is going to win another tournament. I mean, this dude, watching him this weekend, I was like, oh my God, he's come this far.
I'll tell you this. I thought his swing looked good. The ball speed's good. A lot of it's good. The leg is not good. And if he's going to win a tournament, he's got to walk 4 days. It's going to be I don't know if we'll ever see him win again. I don't think we ever see Tiger Woods win another tournament.
I would strongly bet against that. It's been 10 months. I mean, he could win a tournament in 2 years. I mean, look where he's come in 10 months. Let's see where he's at in another 10 months. I mean, do I think he'll win in 2022? No. But I think that Tiger is not done. You can see it. I do think there's a lot of Tiger that wants his son to carry on his legacy if he can. But you know what I kind of noticed, Aaron, you're a dad. So I don't have a son and you don't either. But we all watched remember the Tiger Woods story, right? On HBO. And we've known for years that his dad was very controlling of him. And it almost, I mean, it was a double-edged sword for Tiger's life because it led to so many achievements. But there was also a side of Tiger that didn't even know who he was because of kind of who his dad groomed him to be. I don't see Tiger Woods making that mistake with his son. I think it's one of those things, just based on what I've watched over the last couple of years, where if this is what you want to do, I'm going to help you get there. But it's going to be up to you to make the decisions to want to go be great. I'm not going to make you go be great. You know what I mean? That type of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that's how it plays out. because it was so neat to watch that over the weekend.
He does look like a good dad, and it's heartening to see. I had this conversation this weekend too. Like, the person Tiger was largely shaped by how he was brought up. So it's nice to see. I mean, full on for everyone to see. I mean, it's impossible to miss. There are cameras on him at every turn. Part of the enjoyment of watching the whole tournament, though, to me, wasn't just Tiger and Charlie. It was the father-son thing, basically top to bottom. Yeah. I mean, and it's just
dailies.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Dailies, the Stensons, Corda and her dad, all of them, cool. All of them. I've always loved Kuchar. I've always liked Vijay Singh. I mean, the list of players and their relationships on full display with, father, son, whoever it may be. That was part of the really cool aspect of the tournament, and the fact that the course was silly easy, and they're just throwing darts at pins.
Yeah. It was not. This was something fun to see around the holidays, and that's what was. I agree with that totally. I was. I loved it. Loved watching it this weekend. Did you see the video I tweeted earlier of Lee Trevino talking to Tiger and his son?
I was watching it live. Golf Channel had that live. I want to say it was Friday after the Pro-Am round. I think that's when it was. It was awesome to see. I mean, it was just the back and forth with Tiger and Trevino and Charlie. So yeah, I was watching it live and mesmerized by the thing.
Oh, so neat. I didn't see it. I was traveling on Friday, but that was the coolest thing. God, I love golf.
Yeah,
so neat. All right, 1:21, Darren, on this Monday afternoon. We've got about 2.5 hours left in our year, 2 more hours tomorrow, and then Darren and I off until January the 3rd. So if you've got something to say, get it out before then, or else you're going to have to wait a long time till next year to be able to talk to us again. On the bowl slate, coming up here in just a little while at 2:30 this afternoon, right up the road in Myrtle Beach, it's the Myrtle Beach Bowl, presented by Tax Act, Old Dominion, and Tulsa, a pair of 6-6 clubs. Tulsa is an 8.5-point favorite at Brooks Stadium. Over the weekend, Middle Tennessee beat Toledo. UAB beat BYU. Bill Clark story just continues to get better and better. Are you kidding me? 31-28, the final score there in the Independence Bowl. BYU dropped to 10-3 on the season. Louisiana over Marshall, 36-21. Western Kentucky. So many people impressed by that offense up there. Offensive coordinator Zach Kitley has left for Texas Tech, but he manufactured an incredible offense. And the Zappy kid, the quarterback, set the national record for touchdown passes in a single season. He threw 6 in this game as well.
And yards.
Yeah.
I mean, Trend pointed it out with the Jackson State, SC State thing. The teams that want to play, that have more motivation to play, you see it every bowl season. Underdogs, you're seeing a lot of them have some success. So keep an eye on that moving forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I thought it was a good weekend for bowl games, Darren. 24-13 Utah State over Oregon State. Liberty beat up on Eastern Michigan. Hugh Freeze got his 8th win of the year. Fresno State over UTEP. Did I miss one? Oh, yeah, Coastal. What a wild win over Northern Illinois. And they got 11 wins again this year for the Shots. 47 to 41. Grayson McCall threw for 315 and 4 touchdowns in the ball game. So I thought, I know you're not a big bowl season guy, but I love seeing these kids play. Everybody focuses on the kids that aren't playing this year. I try to focus on the kids that are, and there's so many. This is the last time they're going to play football, and they get to play a bowl game during the holidays. And I thought it was fantastic. Great weekend.
It shows you the folks, the teams in general, the players, that it really does mean something to. It really meant something to Coastal. Gary Gilmore went down for a game that doesn't have an impact on the rest of the season, but obviously it was being talked about in that athletic department. It mattered, and you could tell it on the field. And if you've got your national championship winning baseball coach down there to watch the thing, that tells you it matters in that athletic program too. So yeah, there are fractions and factions that absolutely these games do matter to.
There's no question. One of them matters to me tomorrow, just because I adopted this team, Wyoming. They play Kent State. Wyoming's going to beat Kent State by more than 3 points because they're playing in Idaho. That's why. That's it. I don't have to say any more than that because they understand the landscape at this time of the year. Not only is it cold, but you can't breathe. So Wyoming wins. Anybody want some free money? There you go from Boise's Blue Turf. UTSA San Diego State tomorrow night. San Diego State, by the way, going for their 12th win of the year. For those that may have missed that, coming up on Wednesday, it's Missouri and Army. Army's a 4-point favorite over the Tigers. 8:00 on ESPN. Thursday, North Texas and Miami that afternoon, and then that night, Central Florida and Florida. Watch out, Gators. Gus Malzahn and Central Florida are looking to make a statement here. Florida is 6-6, UCF 8-4, but they are 6.5-point underdogs against Florida in the game. And then on Christmas Eve,
I don't think we know. Just one point on that. I'm sure it's out there. I haven't checked. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel's not playing for Central Florida. So who plays at quarterback for Central Florida is a storyline to at least look into.
I have no idea. I haven't even seen. Well, I thought there was a good chance Bo Nix would end up at Central Florida. He's clearly off to Oregon.
OC. His former OC is now the OC up there.
Yeah. Gus Malzahn missed on that one. I know he wanted to bring him in. You got Memphis and Hawaii on Christmas Eve, Darren, and then Christmas Day, Georgia State and Ball State. Georgia State, of course, coached by Sean Elliott, looking for their 8th win of the year. What a great job he's done in that Panthers program. All right, we're going to hit our final timeout of the afternoon. When we return, Gene Sapikov with the Post and Courier. We will talk to him about upcoming bowl games for Clemson and South Carolina, the staff changes made in the upstate, and some of the storylines here in 2021 inside of the borders of the state of South Carolina. Hang tight. The JB and Goldwater Show. We'll be right back.
Hopefully, you won't ever need legal help for a catastrophic injury or health issues from a medical drug or device. But if you or a loved one suffers injury or loss, Motley Rice LLC is a nationally recognized law firm that is right here in Mount Pleasant at 28 Ridgeside Boulevard. Thank you, Motley Rice, for sponsoring the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show. Visit motleyrice.com for more. motleyrice.com.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity financed a new loan subject to lender approval.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
You hear me talk about Dog and Duck all the time, and there's no other place I'm going to watch my college and NFL than the Dog and Duck. They have 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. They have specials all football season long, like $12 pitchers of their own D2 brew, $5 pints of Sierra Nevada, weekly pick'em sheets with prizes, and the best wings in town, bar none. For all your football, college, and NFL, the Dog and Duck, Clements Ferry Road, Bell Hall, and Park West.
All right, guys and gals, we all know it's the holiday season and you've opened up your playbook for gift giving. Don't dig too deep because I have the perfect stocking stuffer for your favorite teammate. Gift cards and baskets from 3 Seeds Wellness Studios in West Ashland. Luckily, my wife doesn't listen to our show or she would know what Santa is delivering from the North Pole. Check out 3seedswellnessstudios.com for gift cards and their retail store and have their elves stuff a gift basket full of holiday magic. 3 Seeds Wellness Studios, 3seedswellnessstudios.com to score this holiday season.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater Show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and
Well, you're welcome, Patrick. 1:30 Monday afternoon, final segment here. Tomorrow, again, final day of 2021 for our program. We'll be back on January the 3rd, and we certainly look forward to spending time with our families this holiday season, and we certainly hope all of you will as well. One of the best sports writers out there, Gene Sapikov with the Post and Courier, set to join us now. Hey, bud.
How's it going, guys?
It's finally Christmas, Gene. I've seen Santa 3 times this year. I hope he brings what I've asked for. How about you?
Well, today he's bringing me the Myrtle Beach Bowl live on television, so that's a pretty good stocking stuffer.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's lots of people that are just filling up his inbox with, "I need more Myrtle Beach Bowl."
That's right. It's nothing says Myrtle Beach Bowl quite like Tulsa coming to the Palmetto State.
Oh, couldn't agree more. I mean, that's got holiday season Myrtle Beach written all over it. So have we this year, Gene, 4 teams from the state of South Carolina in bowl games: Gamecocks, Tigers, Chanticleers, Bulldogs. Has that ever happened before?
I don't believe so, and we're off to a good start too with 2 wins already. So, I think that's pretty cool too. I thought about that as the SC State Bulldogs were wrapping it up against Team Dion, and that is something else, especially when, isn't it their first outright black college football title since the 80s, and it's definitely Coastal Carolina's first bowl game victory ever. So if you can just put a little mayonnaise and add some Cheez-Its to that, it'll be quite a year for the Palmetto State.
There you go. Dip your Cheez-Its in mayonnaise and pull for both the Gamecocks and the Tigers.
I bet you there are some sickos out there that do that.
Especially some of these families that are mixed. I think there could be some crazy things going on as the 29th blends into the 30th.
That's true. Not me. I won't be. I mean, I love mayonnaise and I love Cheez-Its, but I don't think together.
Not together.
Okay.
No.
I do want to talk to you about this Celebration Bowl, Gene. I thought this was so Darren, I think, said it really neatly at the top of the show. There was so much momentum for this game leading into it, largely because of Deion Sanders. And then, of course, the Travis Hunter news broke last week. The nation's #1 player flips from Florida State to, little old Jackson State, an HBCU FCS program that a lot of people didn't really know about. And then they see Deion Sanders and go, oh, yeah, that's right. Deion Sanders is coaching there. Now they have anyways, everybody was talking about this game on that side. But then Buddy Pugh decided, well, here's the platform, boys. Stand up on it and show them what you got. And they beat the snot out of them on Saturday afternoon in front of a nationally televised audience on ABC. What a tremendous moment for his program.
It was just a beautiful thing. This has been a great year, a great football season for HBCU football, which really needed a shot in the arm because there's been a lot of financial issues and controversies and things. So you have Deion Sanders, you have Eddie George coming in, and they really gave HBCU football a lot of publicity. But as I talked to Buddy Pugh last week about this, there's more than one path to HBCU success. And SC State obviously is going to stick with the NEAC and the traditional HBCU conferences. But you have North Carolina A&T, just a powerhouse in HBCU football and all athletics for a long time, jumping into the Big South along with Hampton already. Tennessee State with Eddie George for decades, I think since the mid 80s, has been in the Ohio Valley Conference. And Buddy Pugh pointed out that, you've seen success with both ways. And this is really good because some of these schools have really struggled financially, not just in athletics, but overall. So it was wonderful to see. And then guys for the Low Country, Corey Fields was such a great quarterback and is such a good kid and has been through so much off the field from Baptist Hill High School. And wow, did he show out in the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
So you mentioned the financial aspect of this, Gene. We've been to Orangeburg. We've seen the Oliver Dawson Stadium up there. Needs work. That they need help. I remember a couple of years ago. This group of leaders in HBCUs across the country went to President Trump and said, "We're requesting our whatever hundreds of millions of dollars again this year." And I remember he asked and said, "Why are we doing this every year?" And they said, "Well, this is how it's always been." And he said, "Well, how much do you need for the next 4 years? And let's just get that approved because you need the money, right? So let's do it." So that was a step in the right direction for HBCUs to take all this money and try to inject it back into their universities. Now you've got this game on ABC, which is, Disney owned, of course. Is there TV money out there that could help these schools more than we think now? Like, is this marketable? How could they do this? How can they find more funds? Because SC State's a proud program just right here in our neck of the woods. And these guys, I think that it's coming to light. Like they can do a lot of good. They've done a lot of great things in football. Nobody knows about it. Somebody needs to tell the story.
Well, there's just no hiding the fact that the entity to tell the story is the entity that controls all college football, and that's ESPN. Now, they did a good job of giving some more spotlight to HBCU football this year. I'd like to see them do more, maybe with some games during the week on weeknights or some sort of nice Saturday time slot or something that people can sink their teeth into. I don't know, Friday night game, something like that. But I love watching a game featuring these great traditional rivalries that a lot of people just don't know much about. When you get like Florida A&M playing Bethune-Cookman, or even going down a level and you get Tuskegee Institute or something, just the colors and the coaches and the history at these places. And I don't think a lot of people realize what great Pro Football Hall of Famers have, so many roots at these schools. And it's fun to watch, but it's all really in ESPN's court as far as that goes. There's just no doubt about it.
I agree. I totally agree. Anybody remember the Joe Thomas story a few years ago? He was like, what was he, 50 years old?
I was there when he played in the game. 55, Jamie. It was a beautiful thing. It was great. And Buddy Pugh played it perfectly, not making it, too much about Joe Thomas, but yet giving him his time when they had a nice lead. And, his son's played in the NFL for a long time. And that's a great story. And there's lots of great stories like that throughout HBCU football. And I mean, just what a great year too for SC State. They win the Celebration Bowl. Great year for Corey Fields, and Donnie Shell went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That makes it 4 Pro Football Hall of Famers from SC State.
Wow, that's incredible. Wow, I know both.
Incredible too, guys. That's 4 Pro Football Hall of Famers for SC State. All the other schools in South Carolina combined have had just one. Brian Dawkins from Clemson. There'll be some more. Maybe Debo Samuel is on the way here. But I mean, as far as graduates at schools, but that 4 is amazing. Marion Motley, Deacon Jones, Harry Carson, and now, Donnie Shell. It's just really cool.
That is an unbelievable stat. By the way, if we're going to go down that road.
The rest of the state has 1 and they have 4?
Yeah, just the one Clemson guy, no Gamecocks yet, and nobody from Wofford, Furman, Coastal, or believe it or not, no one from Erskine yet, even though they did want to beat Florida State in football.
One day, the Flying Fleet will have somebody in there one day. I will say while we're on that, this is my annual Sterling Sharp should be in the Hall of Fame nugget for our program. Sterling Sharp's probably the best wide receiver ever.
It's interesting that you say that because watching Debo Samuel play football has been so much fun this year. And he is going to be a multi-time Pro Bowl player, I believe, just a superstar. And at South Carolina in the NFL, his skill set reminds me so much of Sterling Sharp, who truly was a great college and pro football player before suffering that neck injury.
And now he's a hell of a golfer.
Absolutely.
Incredible. Gene Sapikoff with the Post and Courier here at 1:40 on this Monday afternoon. All right, Gene, let's turn the page a little bit with bowl games coming up for Clemson and South Carolina. There are a lot of off-the-field news being passed along over the last 7 to 10 days with the Tigers' new contracts, promotions from within. So let me ask you this. This stands out as much as anything, and I know people know that I'm not a Clemson fan, but I'm just trying to do what Darren does on our show as it pertains to South Carolina. I'm trying to call it like I see it here. Yeah, there's a lot of talk around Wesley Goodwin and how smart he is being promoted as the defensive coordinator at Clemson. I don't doubt his football knowledge in any way, shape, or form, and by all means, he'll probably end up being very, very good. It's just hard to wrap my head around it right now. They're replacing the best defensive coordinator in college football with a guy that's never called a play in his life on the field. I mean, how do you react to some of the decisions Coach Sweeney has made? I know he's taken offense to being questioned in some of these, but that's what we do. We question some of the decisions. So what do you think about the moves that have been made up there, highlighted by that one?
Well, let me start with the bottom line first, and that's that time will tell. But let's look at the negatives here. If Wesley Goodwin was such a genius, and let me say, there are no secrets in college football. They're saying that Ellis Johnson knew all about him when he was a student at Mississippi State. Bruce Arians singing his praises with the Arizona Cardinals. Other schools, other coaches are aware of how smart he is. And yet, as far as I know, no one's beaten down the door to hire that guy in the last few years. So there's that. And you say he hasn't called a play. He also, until about a week before early signing date, had never been out on a recruiting trip, never recruited a player. You're not allowed to do that when you're an analyst. And he's never coached a position. So that is a lot to unpack there as he goes into a college football season for a team that thinks of itself as a college football playoff candidate. On the other hand, I think that in Dabo Swinney's defense, since he changed his original two coordinators, which were Billy Napier and Kevin Steele, he had made 4 hires: Brent Venables, Chad Morris, Tony Elliott, and Jeff Scott, not necessarily in that chronological order. And to me, those were all 4 A+ hires. So maybe he knows what he's doing. It's really a weird situation, and I think Clemson's schedule will work with them in allowing Wes Goodwin to kind of blend into the gig.
It's such an interesting conversation to have, and I think one of the things that stands, again, I don't know what's going to happen with you. We'll find out what happens in a few years, but I think one of the things that's interesting, I threw this stat at Darren last week, is there is of the new contracts that were approved up at Clemson. Although Brandon Street, I love Brandon Streeter. I think he's going to actually end up being an excellent offensive coordinator for the Tigers, and he's recruited elite quarterbacks, outstanding individual. But he's only been at Clemson as a Power 5 guy. Wesley Goodwin's never been at another school before except for Clemson doing this. Mickey Kahn, never been anywhere but Clemson, former high school head coach. Todd Bates, he's been in a junior college. He's been at Jackson State. He's never been at another Power 5 but Clemson. And Kyle Richardson, former Northwestern high school head coach. This is his first year on the field at Clemson. So this is kind of like the Clemson way of doing things. And Gene, just the way that I've seen it over the years, that's either works out really well or it doesn't work out at all. Like there are other coaches who bring other things to the table on the staff. Don't misunderstand me. And Dabo Swinney's still the head guy. So he controls it all, but there's a lot of dudes there that only know Clemson, and we'll just have to see how it works out.
Yeah, it's an unusual thing. I mean, even among the major powers, and everybody points to Nick Saban, but pretty much name any other school, and they don't have, more than 20 graduates of that school somehow doing something in the football program. That's what Clemson has. Dabo bragged about 22, that he had 22 last year. I don't know what it is now, probably a few more. And especially after he gets done kind of filling some of these analyst jobs and stuff. So it's a fascinating experiment.
Gene, is it a fair comparison? When this first was brought up, but last week when Jamie said it, I chuckled. I still kind of do, because the perception of Beamer, there was a inside push. We really want this guy, but then the obvious was, well, he's never been a head coach before. Is there a comparison between Beamer never being a head coach and these guys who have all been brought up the Clemson way, and now it's their turn?
I think it's a good comparison. And I mean, you can watch Moneyball and find some comparisons, and maybe in the movie that Jonah Hill's going to play Wes Goodwin, but I'm not really sure. But, you know, of all guys to kind of have sympathy and like this idea, there's Dabo Swinney, who was just kind of a nobody walk-on at Alabama, and he made it a receiver. And then, of course, at Clemson, when Terry Don Phillips made him the interim head coach, people were like, wait a minute, this guy hasn't even been a coordinator, and he's the interim head coach, and then now you're making him the head coach. So he's the guy to try different things. Having said all that, Clemson made great strides by going way, way outside the program and outside the footprint to bring in Brent Venables and Chad Morris, and that worked out pretty well, too.
Well, we'll see if it works out in the game coming up on the 29th. 19th ranked Tigers, 9 wins on the year, looking for 10. It says a lot when you've had a down year and you win 10 games. Against Iowa State, 7-5. Clemson is a 1-point favorite in the Cheez-It Bowl down in Orlando. Gene, this is the last time we'll talk to you before the game, and there's still a ways to go. Obviously, a lot can change between now and then, but your brief breakdown of this matchup and their chances, Clemson's chances of getting back into double digits in wins.
Probably pretty good, only because Iowa State, the Cyclones are without their, really star 2-time consensus All-America running back, Breece Hall, who has decided to opt out and get ready for the NFL. I guess he's a first or second round draft pick. I believe Mel Kiper had him rated as the top running back. You look at their stats on offense, I think the next most productive running back I think the next most productive runner is Brock Purdy, the quarterback, at about 224 yards for the season. So that's a huge hit for them. I'm not saying they can't, win the game or move the ball, and their defense is solid, but I just like Clemson overall in this one. And I think the new energy that these coaching changes will be a positive for this game. Now, how it goes, deep into next season, I don't know. But for this game, I kind of like Clemson.
Yeah, there are, so many storylines in this game. So many coaches. This is kind of going to be their first real test. And then you look at Breece Hall, and you're like, well, dude, do they even stand a chance without this cat? I don't know. But that's why you play the games, and we're going to find out what it looks like. All right, Gene, to South Carolina. Gamecocks making some splashes off the field, especially in the quarterback department. Spencer Rattler is in. They just signed another 4-star quarterback in Tanner Bailey. That's 3 4-star quarterbacks now here in this class, including transfers. So Shane Beamer, we don't know how the game's going to play out. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But nonetheless, as the season ended, he put the foot on the accelerator and went to work in the recruiting department. And the last couple of weeks have been a dandy for Carolina's football program, at least off the field.
Yeah, Jamie, usually you talk about winning or losing in the off season, and that goes through spring practice. They haven't had their bowl game yet, and they haven't had spring practice. And I think Shane Beamer has kicked butt in the off season and won it. I mean, he's brought in some really good players in the transfer portal, and not just Rattler. I think Stogner, the tight end, is going to be just a really nice addition. But like you said, I mean, getting Tanner Bailey there at the end and getting Stone Blanton from out of Mississippi, and that's going to help the baseball program too, in theory. I just think he's done just what he needed to do to kind of change the quarterback room, continue with the momentum of a season in which most realistic people didn't expect them to go to a bowl game. So maybe they get pummeled in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. They don't have J.J. Ingman-Barway and Zaquandre White, and they're kind of thin at quarterback, to say the least, for that game. But there's going to be a lot of excitement going into the 2022 season for South Carolina. And yet I think you have to kind of curb your enthusiasm and realize that this is still a process, and he needs a couple more off seasons like this.
So, Gene, it was 1 year ago today that he actually arrived in Columbia to start coaching the Gamecocks. The only reason I know that is because he tweeted yesterday a video of exactly 1 year ago from yesterday when they were wrapping up the Big 12 championship game. Remember, it got pushed back last year because of the pandemic. And then it was literally the next day he was in Columbia. Describe what you've seen in 1 year under Shane Beamer, his tenure basically from the day he landed to now, and how he has kind of grown up, how he's matured, how he's handled himself as a head football coach.
I'd say so far so good, and that he has slightly overachieved, and that's what you wanted to see. You knew there was going to be the rah-rah enthusiasm, but they've seen some results on the field. I mean, the fact is, I don't know what happened at Florida and Auburn internally, but they beat Florida and Auburn, and they finished 6-6. They're going to play in a bowl game. They did really good in the transfer portal. He did well in high school recruiting, and here they go into 2022. So that's pretty much all you can realistically ask and more from Shane Beamer's first year. Now, I think really the third year, I'm already skipping ahead of the second year, but the third year is a really huge thing because, next year, if they just kind of stay flat or don't win 7 or 8 games, you're going to say, oh, it was a step back, and it might not necessarily be that. And on the other hand, if some veteran players lead them to 8 wins and then all those guys are gone, then, it's going to be on him in that third year to continue that momentum. So far, so good is the way I would headline Shane Beamer.
Yeah, I would love to, and maybe we will, Darren, after the new year, just talk to him and find out all those things that he learned in all of his life. Everybody, I disagree with what Darren asked earlier about the similarities to Shane Beamer because, Wesley Goodwin never worked for Phil Fulmer and Frank Beamer and Steve Spurrier and all these guys, Lincoln Riley, Kirby Smart. He's learned so much from all these guys. I'd just be interested to hear from him, Gene, how he implemented the things that he learned in his first year or what he did and didn't implement, because all those guys do something a little bit different. I know you don't have that answer, but I'm sure his head's been spinning for 365 days. And now that it's maybe calmed down a little bit, I'd be interested to see what he used from his experience prior to coming back to South Carolina. I don't know. It's one of those things where can't describe it, but maybe one day he'll be able to do that for us.
Yeah, and I think he will, and I think he learns from the highs and lows, and he's really good about, opening up about those kind of things. Just one thing on Wes Goodwin, yeah, he's a, Clemson guy, very much a neophyte, but he did spend 3 years in the NFL as Bruce Arians' right-hand man with the Arizona Cardinals, and started out at Mississippi State doing this kind of stuff. So he's not fully just a Clemson guy, but obviously does not have the mentors that Shane Beamer did in college football.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I did not mean that disrespectfully. I thought the comparison's a little off because of Shane's experience.
He's younger too. So he's younger too. The role's a little bit lower. So you factor that in, and he does have the guys in his past, not as many.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously I like it because I've brought up the comparison now twice.
Yeah, he's I think 7 years younger than Shane, I believe, right? He's 36. Shane's 43.
Yeah.
Gene, you're 45, right? So Shane's 43.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah. Not sure who's going to play Shane Beamer in the movie, though. Probably not Matthew McConaughey. Maybe, maybe the guy that plays Ted Lasso. I don't know.
That'd be good. What?
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. He was the Miller, and we're the Millers. As it pertains to the game, the Dukes Mayo Bowl, Gene, Carolina obviously has huge opt-outs of this. Saquandre White, Jason Brown, JJ Enigbari. That's a major effect for them, no doubt. But at least your thoughts on the game now heading into it.
If the Tar Heels come in and they really want to play and they're excited about this game, I think they're going to win. They have an offense that's going to be tough to stop. Everybody knows about Sam Howell, but they run the ball really well, including him, who can just be a bowling ball out there. He is a tough dude running that football. And I would like the Tar Heels. But if they're not interested and South Carolina gets up early, then it could go the Gamecocks' way. And like you said, so many subplots for the Clemson game. Obviously, so many for the Gamecocks, including the fact that Parker White could become, with 6 more points, the career scoring leader for the Gamecocks.
Poor Parker. He's been sitting on this for like 2 months. So we've literally talked about this, Darren, since like November the 1st. Like, he'll probably break it this week. Nope. Didn't even score a point against Clemson. Gene, I know at the end of every year in the Post and Courier, you kind of look back on some of the great moments and achievements within our borders, or some of our players, coaches, and all those type things in the Post and Courier. I was wondering if you could maybe hint at some of what you've been peeking at that we could look forward to reading over the next couple of weeks as we wind down 2021 and look forward to 2022. What stands out this year in Palmetto State athletics?
I think you got to start with the PGA and Phil Mickelson winning at Kiowa, and just not only having a major here in the Low Country and in South Carolina, but just who won that and how we did it. That was, to me, the highlight of the year. It's going to be hard to top no matter what happens in these bowl games. But otherwise, just so many interesting stories in football. Shane Beamer's first year, Clemson takes a very intriguing step back. We'll see if they can get it together. And then the other football programs in the state, like we just talked about, SC State winning the Celebration Bowl, Coastal getting its first bowl win, the zaniness that was the Presbyterian college football season in just 1 year under Kevin Kelly, going for it on all the fourth downs and onside kicking almost all the time and stuff like that. That lasts just 1 year, but that was quite a whirlwind there in Clinton. So, and just Dawn Staley, everything she did. She was interviewed by the NBA's Portland Trailblazers. They took that very seriously. Maybe she finished second to Chauncey Billups for that job. I don't know. But I do know that she won an Olympic gold medal and almost won a Final Four, because I think if they get a tip in there against Stanford, they beat Arizona. So you could go on and on about that. But it's been quite a year in Palmetto State sports, as it almost always is.
Good news. Gamecocks host Stanford in a 1-3 matchup tomorrow night on ESPN2 at 7:00. And for those who maybe haven't had a chance to check in with Santa Claus before he makes the trip down south on Friday evening, he is going to be at Colonial Life Arena in the Frank McGuire room from 6 to 7:30. Those that didn't know this, Santa's a big Gamecock fan. So he's going to be there on Tuesday night, Gene. So all the little boys and girls wanting to go watch the ladies, the undefeated ladies, go for win number 12. They can tell Santa what they want this holiday season. It's fantastic.
Well, that's really cool, and I'm not surprised that he pops into a top 5 matchup to check it out either.
I mean, well, Santa loves Dawn Staley. I mean, he's a big fan of Dawn, and
got to.
So, who doesn't love Dawn Staley? How can you not love Dawn Staley?
She's doing good things all over the world. He's got to like her.
That's right. Exactly right. Gene, real quick, too, 2022, outside of football, we know what the storylines are in football. What else in this state are you excited about as we turn the page to the next year?
Well, since we're meshing right into the basketball season, can either Clemson or South Carolina or College of Charleston scratch their way to an NCAA tournament? I know that the Gamecock women are going to do that, and so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you see flashes of good things from the Gamecocks, Tigers, Cougars, but can one of those teams step forward? And then college baseball right around the corner. And Jamie, just to tease this, I know you probably saw this today, but collegiate baseball comes out with its top 50 preseason poll. Now, I've been around the Palmetto State a long time covering college baseball. I know you have too, but to have just one team in the top 50 and that team be the Gamecocks at number 44 is a little discouraging. And I'm hoping that some of these players and coaches saw that and get some motivation out of that.
I agree. This state's way too good for that to happen. There should be at least 3 in the top 50 in the Palmetto State. I totally agree, but I will maintain my stance as I always do as it pertains to baseball in this state. There are wonderful men leading these baseball programs. I have no doubt 2022 is going to be a really good year for a lot of programs. Gene, it's the last time we'll speak with you before Christmas and before the new year. And Darren and I have been doing this with you for 2 years, known you a long time. You're a wonderful person with a great family, and we wish you the merriest of Christmases and the happiest of New Years. Pass along our best to Jeffrey. I know he's doing great. Thank you for what you do for us and for all of the state of South Carolina in sports. It's tremendous, and we can't wait to do it again next year.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, not just today, but all year, guys, and happy holidays to you guys, too.
Thank you. There you go. Gene Sapikov with the Post and Courier, 7-time Sports Writer of the Year. Should be 17-time, but that's for another day. That's it for us here on a Monday afternoon. Tomorrow, our final day before the new year, January the 3rd, is when we will return. But one more tomorrow. One more. And we're going to see if we can convince J.C. Sherbert to spend the day with us here on our program, as he's done so much of, Darren, for a year and a half.
Yep.
Hi, Grayson.
You want to say hi back to Papa?
But you can't say hi to me. Hi, Grayson.
Oh, she didn't hear that. Say hi to Jamie, too.
Hello.
Thanks, everybody. Have a marvelous Monday at the Dog and Duck if you're in the Low Country. If you're not in the Low Country and you come to it, you should have a marvelous Monday at the Dog and Duck. For Darren, I'm Jamie. Thanks to Wes and Gene. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. There you go.
Even the kid rocks the Dog and Duck gear.
That's right. See you tomorrow at noon on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.